Hello, everybody. It is Renee, and I am here with Dr. Christine Barnes, and she is from, okay, tell me, Queensland, Australia? Okay,
Yeah.
I haven't been to Australia yet. You know, it's on my bucket list, and my partner in crime, Pete, he retired last February, and that was definitely like something we were going to do this like winter for us, summer for you. So like maybe in another month, but I guess that's not happening this year. So I am Renee Lynn, and I am a weight loss, nutrition, wellness coach, both in Northern California in the Los Gatos area and in Southern California, where I am now based after the pandemic in the Palm Desert, Palm Springs area. And I am here today with Dr. Christine Barnes. And Dr. Barnes, tell us a little bit about yourself, your practice, your country.
Well, that's going to be a very long webinar, isn't it? Can you hear me?
We lost our sound for some reason. Let me see if so. Do you? I had your sound earlier.
Yeah.
Do you want to go out and come back in?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, let's have you come back in on the link. So Dr. Barnes will join us and come back in on the link. She's coming to us from Australia, and so I if you are here live, give us a thumbs up, give us a hashtag live, and tell us where you are watching from. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we're going to be talking about mindset matters today. So we are we're going to be talking just a minute as soon as I can get Dr. Barnes back with me. Let's see here. Thanks for your patience, you guys. And let's there she is. All right, awesome. So hopefully, let's see. Dr. Barnes, let's test our
Can you hear me?
Yay, yeah, we gotcha. Okay. All right. So let's start all over again. My name is Renee Lynn, and I am a weight loss, health, and wellness coach with clinics both in Northern and Southern California, Los Gatos, and Palm Desert. And I'm here today with Dr. Christine Barnes, and she is from Queensland, Australia. And I've had the privilege of collaborating a couple times with her. Absolutely love her wealth of information as a naturopathic doctor and practitioner. So tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from, and a little bit about your practice, Dr. Barnes.
Thank you so much for having me again, Renee, and welcome to all the listeners. So yeah, I'm in Queensland, which is the tropical end of Australia. And I'm about to move from a lovely part of Queensland to an even lovelier part of Queensland. I'm going further north, close to the Great Barrier Reef, is where we're moving to currently. So I'm a naturopathic practitioner. I work worldwide, generally with complex health cases, and consult on a lot of different health topics.
Yeah, so we were talking last time about how people can work with you virtually. Just as we get going here, do you want to talk for a second about kind of some of probably the most common things that you work with people on, and how they can reach you?
Well, it's been a positive aspect of COVID that we've been able to go fully online, because now I'm accessible to everybody worldwide, no matter where they are. I commonly get calls from people that are seeking help with complex cases where there's multiple things going on. So it may be that they're doing the best they can with weight loss, for instance, and they're exercising and they're eating well, but they're not shifting that weight. And that's when somebody like me is called upon, and we dig a bit deeper, and we're looking at thyroid, and we're looking at hormones and stress and adrenal function. Some people have some fairly serious health issues. We often get calls from people that have been diagnosed with cancer or don't actually have a diagnosis, and all the specialists can't find what's going on. I actually had a chat before this session with a lovely family in America, and a young, vibrant daughter who has really suffered health-wise for many years with a strange range of symptoms, and nobody seems to be able to pinpoint it. But we've been able to do that, and we've been able to move forward and get her feeling better. So complex resistant cases are my thing.
Oh, I love it. One of the things that I have personally struggled with my health was leaky gut, and where leaky gut led me down the road of heavy metal toxicity. And, we don't even know why we feel exhausted, and we don't even know why we're tired all the time. I was dropping things. I wasn't able to think. I had severe brain fog, all the things I shouldn't have at 51 years old. And so, one of my passions is, and I know this is your passion too, Dr. Barnes, is really educating people on how they can change their lives in a very holistic way. And sometimes it takes, obviously we know it takes a long time, and we have to have patience with the process. Because we've got to drill down to that root cause. It's not enough just to, we think this is what you've got. Here's a pill. I'm working from the angle of a lot of nutrition. I know you work with nutrition in your practice also. You're drilling way down and helping people on a really deep level. And so we know that starting piece is our nutrition. And that's really what we're talking about today, is that mindset. And we thought we would talk a little bit about, what's kind of colliding. Not only is the holidays colliding and that typical stress, and one of the things we can talk about first is what is the typical holiday stress, and why does that cause overeating?
Oh, look, where do I begin with this topic? I'm quite passionate about this topic, and in my clinic with my patients, I've been talking about a lot. So we get to this pointy end of the year. Our work seems to get a little bit busier because we've got sort of an end date where we're all closing for the holidays. So we seem to have more productivity we need to do, and that sends our adrenaline up. Often we go into a holiday break and we bring our stress with us. And when we're stressed or overproducing adrenaline, it suppresses our immune system and our digestion. So some people, when they first week of holidays, often they get unwell, because that's when they relax, their immune system pops up, becomes active, and it's then affecting them one way or another. So I always suggest to people, even though we're all busy, is do stress management as much as possible before the holiday break, and then you won't be so stressed. The other thing is that our body is reading stress as if we're going to go into a famine. So it shuts down, and the digestion, it hangs on to fat around our middle, and it tells us to eat more. Yeah. And also, it thinks we've got to stand and fight or run. It doesn't understand that we're in this pointy end of our work. And of course, then, we've got to do Christmas shopping. Many people have kids at home at this time of year that they didn't have earlier, so they've got to juggle all of these balls. And for some of us, our family on Christmas Day is also a little bit stressful. So, there's a lot of different things depending on your family situation that commonly we've got to juggle, manage, etc. But self-care is where it's at this time of the year. We want to come on the other side of this whole Christmas cheer thing of actually being rested and, a higher level of wellness. And yeah, it can be problematic for a lot of people. I spoke to one of my patients this week. She's only just started with me. And in her family tradition, they have 12 courses on Christmas Eve.
Oh, gosh.
And traditionally, she's cooked all 12 courses. I'm like, no, 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 no. You need to delegate that. And maybe let's cut the courses down. So sometimes we need to sort of assess, take stock of where our own energy is and go, we may have done that in the past, but do I need to do it this year? How can we simplify Christmas and enjoy it? It doesn't have to be hard work.
I totally agree with you. I was sharing out to a lot of my different groups. So if you are live with us, please give us a hashtag live. We're going to be talking about the colliding of not only the holiday stress eating and drinking scenarios, but now we're adding the pandemic and other things to that. And so number one, tell us where you're from, what country, state. Give us that hashtag live. D is my, we have a low carb cooking show, and she says 12 courses, OMG. Yeah, it's totally ridiculous, and it's funny because one of my new clients this year that I've been working on with about 6 months, a family of 3, and they have let's see. The mother has lost about 55 pounds. The daughter, 60 pounds, both of them type 1 diabetics. So that's definitely a slower, more difficult process.
Yeah.
And then the husband lost a little over 100 pounds in 6 months, just, using our program. Yeah, super exciting. And not only that, though, they've completely changed their lifestyle. And we were talking, every week we have our accountability session. And the great thing about this virtual Zoom meetings is we're able to really drill down. And instead of meeting in the office and here's your food and weigh in and, oh, how'd you do this week? We really get to spend those 20, 30 minutes going, just really going back. So we both know that there are triggers there, and that's what's happening with that holiday stress eating and drinking. Is not only do we have the holidays, do we here, but we've got this shutdown, this social shutdown, work shutdown, kids at home, as you say, and just a lot of stress going on. Talk for a minute about, I know here in California, we're shut down again for the second time. We've basically been in shutdown since last March. And they just shut us down again for, they say 4 weeks, but we know it's going to be longer than that. Tell us what's happening over in Australia and kind of some of the, I'm sure you've dealt with this with your client base. How are people reacting? What are the things that you're seeing?
Oh, it's such a mixed bag here because every part of Australia has experienced COVID quite differently, and the levels of shutdown have been, extreme to, it's almost like nothing's happening. We've just recently experienced that the southern states have now opened up and the borders have opened up just in time for Christmas. So that's great. And so where I am in the northern part, we've had an influx of southerners because the poor Victorians have been at sometimes very extreme lockdown. We do expect that because of this big movement now, motivated by Christmas and the fact that people haven't seen each other for so long, so families getting together, we do expect that there will be some other hotspots that are happening, maybe early next year. We have seen a few hotspots happen. I think they're getting better here at isolating this area is where the hotspot is and how to, rather than sort of take down a whole state, I think the management is improving here. But look, it's a bit hard to say. I mean, this could change at any time. But overall in Australia, things have lifted. Businesses are really excited to get back into seeing people and things like that. And the stress is off, because although some families actually thrived in lockdown, other families and individuals suffered greatly. I think those that have actually had some benefit have been able to reframe the situation. And that's really something that I think is psychologically a benefit, if we can pivot when something happens in life and reframe it so it works for us, not against us. And whether that's, our lifestyle, our diet, COVID lockdown variations on business, all sorts of things. I think the important thing as far as being well is being able to pivot and reframe. And this is this mindset aspect that you referred to, Renee. I think it's an ongoing process. I know I'm always in process about that. I'm exploring, I'm very fixed on some things, and maybe I need to loosen up on some of those aspects. And, but being able to pivot and reframe things is such an important skill to develop, and we can all develop it. It's a skill that we can learn, practice, and get better at, and it's going to help us move on into the future with our own personal development.
Yeah, I totally agree. And one of the things that, I was talking with one of my clients today, and she, she no longer has her job after many, many years of being with the same company. And she titled it as, "I feel like I have a clean slate." And it's not because she's not upset that she doesn't have her job of many, many years. She probably assumed that she would retire from that big, large corporation, but she decided to, as you say, pivot and look at it in a way of, the universe is offering me a different opportunity right now. Yeah. And, a lot of our mindset is being able to make that shift and not get stuck. And for those of us that were able to shift, the pandemic was a lot smoother, and the stressfulness and the ability to, not be angry about staying home and to go with the flow, if you want to say that, because you're able to have peace with it, and that there will be a solution, and maybe this is a different way for you. And so that really is that mindset piece. Yeah. Love it.
I agree. And it's interesting. I mentor a lot of practitioners, and the practitioners also struggled with pivoting and changing. It was just everybody that had that challenge with reframing, coming up with solutions, how to change your life. But of course, we see this. I'm sure you see it with your weight loss clients. It's like, this is what I eat. I'm very attached to that, or this is how my day looks, and I'm very attached to that. And I always suggest to people, just choose little changes, whatever it is. I think possibly I'm a little bit better at reframing and pivoting because I have a background in advanced meditation. So really you're sitting with things that you're uncomfortable with that. And, things aren't perfect. I know everybody thinks meditation's just all nirvana, but, you get used to that change. You get used to those internal thoughts, those obstacles internally. But not everybody has that experience and background, and they've been on the same pattern most of their life, or at least for a certain, number of years. So change is difficult for all of us, no matter how advanced we are psychologically. It's always difficult, but being able to sit with that challenge and not become that challenge, actually just still go, okay, that's something that's happening outside of me. How can I just bend. And these are some of these thoughts that a lot of philosophers talk about of, the wind comes and the tree bends and then it develops strength and stronger roots, but it bends because if it doesn't bend, it breaks. And I think COVID's one of those things that's really, for some people, it has broken them. We did see suicide rates, just soar here in Australia. I feel that should be the attention of the government of those people who are vulnerable people anyway. And maybe we need to do more work in that area, COVID or not. But I think that we all struggle with change. I know we're just in the moving process, and my husband's struggling with change, even though he's the one that wanted to move. So sometimes we can want to pivot, we can want to change, but we can still struggle. So always choose those little things that you can do, just small baby steps, because then we get comfortable with that step. And then we can make another change and we can get comfortable with that. And then we can make another change. So it's just an ongoing process of change, discomfort, that becomes comfort. Another change, discomfort, that becomes comfortable. And we keep moving forward in that way.
I love that. I love that philosophy because, you're right. And what's really fun about both of our backgrounds is that we've segued into different points in our lives where I owned a yoga, Pilates, and gyrotonic studio for 10 years. So I totally align myself with what you're talking about. I've never, ever, I never could master that meditation piece. And it's still, every year I write my goals. And by the way, you guys, if you're listening and you want to be in our goal setting group, which is coming up in the next 2 weeks, type in the word goals in the comment section, and I will send you information on that group. If you're live, give us a hashtag live. If you're in the replay, give us a hashtag replay. Dr. Barnes is coming to us from Queensland, Australia. I'm going to go visit her one of these days.
Yes.
So one of the things that I've been talking about a lot in my Healthy for the Holidays group is balance focus. So not having that very stern, not being so rigid and that you feel bad, oh my God, I ate some chocolate, I had too much champagne or what it is, whatever it is. Instead of that, our natural reaction is, okay, I did this, so now I got to restrict. And then once we start restricting, then that leads to overeating because we didn't eat all day and we were really busy. And then we get to the end of the night and then we have that big meal. And then we really need to kind of like downturn our stress. So why don't I have a couple glasses of wine? Talk a minute about that, not only just on the holiday level, but just as we've gone through the pandemic, we've seen more and more. I haven't seen so much cooking bread, cookies, sweets, drinking. I mean, it's just crazy, and lots of, people gaining weight, getting the COVID-19 29, 39, and feeling really out of sorts and overwhelmed.
Yeah. Oh, we could talk for an hour on this, Renee. So let me sort of break it down a little bit. Definitely one of the worst things for one's health and wellness and psychology is guilt. And I'm going to cross over a little bit. It's funny that, so much is just sparking off for me today about yoga and meditation. So in yoga, guilt is the only sin. So that's in classical yoga. And that's because it doesn't help us. Anger is a way of expressing, love. All those sorts of things are just emotions that can be expressed. But guilt, it eats us up inside. Now, there is nothing wrong with some chocolate. There are a lot of health benefits to it. The higher percentage of the chocolate is the key to get those strong antioxidants and really anti-aging foods or nutrients out of chocolate. It's high in copper and magnesium, so good quality chocolate that's not high in sugar and not high in trans fats, but good quality chocolate has a lot of health benefits. So you should be thanking yourself when you have a bit of chocolate and go, yeah, it's another vitamin pill. Wine. There is nothing wrong with wine. In most philosophies, there are ceremonies that involve wine. It's part of celebrating or marking a particular celebration or achievement. And there's actually health benefits to wine. Now, over drinking cheap wine with lots of additives and preservatives, that's a whole other deal. But resveratrol is a very important antioxidant, and it comes from organic red wines. So now, don't drink a lot of it thinking you're getting more and more antioxidants, but I'm just saying there are benefits in these foods. And in traditional diets like the Mediterranean diet, it includes wine. And part of that is that interaction, that socialization. That actually builds strong immune systems, is good for our psychology, that connectivity. And when we enjoy these things with other people, we generally find that it boosts our immune system. But of course, if we're sitting at home drinking bottles of wine by ourselves, different thing altogether. But you want to make the food quality as high as possible so you can get the nutritional benefits from it. And wine is one of those things. We can get organic wine these days. And some beautiful wines, and there's no reason why you shouldn't have some wine. Now, if you've got a problem with your liver, then possibly don't drink wine. But, one glass over Christmas to celebrate Christmas or New Year is not going to make or break. Just enjoy it, but taste every single mouthful. And this is actually how I talk to people that are trying to give up smoking. Now, we all know smoking is bad for us, but some people are so addictive and they're doing it mindlessly. So the first step with anything is to become very mindful, yeah? And this in itself can become a meditation. So you want to actually taste every single thing. The problem with addiction or overeating or overdrinking is generally that we're not present. Yeah. So we're watching TV and we're drinking plenty of beer and, all that. And we're not even aware that we're drinking after a while. Yeah. So being mindful of every sip, taste it, smell it, feel the texture in your mouth, really be aware. Same with the chocolate. So, we do, when we're teaching people beginners meditation, we often give them something like a sultana or something. And you've got one sultana and you've got to make it last as long as possible. And you do that by tasting every single thing. So you're gentle, you're feeling the texture of it, all that sort of stuff. So it's a way of practicing getting that awareness into what you're eating and drinking. So take-home message is do things mindfully, as good a quality as possible. Too much of even a good thing is bad.
I totally agree. I had to definitely teach myself mindfulness as I went through my own struggles with overeating and large portion size and inhaling my food and eating mindlessly. And there's a lot of mindless activities that we do. And right now, I think there's a lot of that going on where we sit at our computer, we Zoom for hours and hours, and we're, doing this the whole time. And then a lot of people, and I know this because I work with a lot of teachers and the head of the school district here. And she was talking about how there was a lot of wine in the coffee cups of the teachers on the Zoom. So interesting. Okay, we have like 5 minutes left. I thought last but not least, let's talk about that social aspect of how we can relieve stress by reaching out to others and getting some socialization, even if we can't be in the same room, the same town, the same places as them.
Well, certainly we know from research that connection is probably one of our biggest important aspects of health and wellness. So whether that is virtually like this and having quality connections, it's not just talking mindlessly. You want to have a sense of comfort in that connection. You want to have a sense of fun and playfulness. And for some people, stimulation. It's really important for me and my wellness that I connect with people on an intellectual level, but also not too serious, that we're light about it. So I go away then feeling fulfilled. Everybody's a little bit different. So finding people, finding your tribe that you're comfortable with. I have several different circles that I mix with. Some people, we just do frivolous things. Other people, we're doing things that are more intellectual, and other things that's more goal setting and, advancing ourselves. But with each one of my connections, it's important to me that we feel comfortable with each other. We can be authentic. It's not superficial. So that's just me. Other people, they need a different quality or level of connection. But whether it be virtual or in real life, we need to make sure that we're present and actually being there, so we're hearing what people are saying and not saying, and actually interacting. It's not one-sided. And I think that when we've had separation, often people get together and then one person's like talking at people. So I would suggest that we, over this Christmas, New Year period, that we just be mindful that conversation needs to be like, a tennis match. It needs to be back and forward, back and forward. And when it's about equal, that's where everybody feels quite comfortable. Now, there are times, obviously, in a conversation where one takes the predominant role for a while, but make sure you just hit that ball back to the other person and share that conversation, not take it over, and actually, think about light things to talk about as well as the serious things. Think about fun things to introduce. So, this beautiful symphony of how we communicate builds relationships. And I think that's when, sometimes we all get a bit nervous about coming together as a family when we haven't seen each other. And sometimes there's a few clashes with different family members and things like that. These are principles that you can take into the Christmas lunch and, just make sure it's like a tennis match. It's going backwards and forwards. It's a bit light. It's a bit deep if you need to go there, but lighten it up and make it fun and bring somebody else into the conversation. And that then builds relationships and inclusivity for everyone. And I think this is an important part of connecting. It's not just connecting with, like when I'm talking to you, Renee, or one-on-one with somebody. It's like, who else can we bring into this conversation that might be in the room, that may be listening, but may not be quite ready to know how to join in? So we can ask them a question and include them. And that brings everybody's nervous system down. It's really interesting that then everybody calms down a little bit. And the calmer, more relaxed we are, the better our digestion, the better our awareness, and it spirals up rather than spiraling down.
I like all of those thoughts because, there's always those people in our world that feel like nobody listens to them, nobody hears them, everybody's talking over them. So yeah, that is such a good point. And this year, and one of the things that I always talk about is stop texting. Even if you can't reach someone by telephone, use that little button where you talk into there and say, hey, how are you doing? I miss you. I love you. I wish we could be together. Let everybody hear your voice and reach out to people, especially people that you think are super strong. Because a lot of times those are the people with the walls around them. Yeah. And we forget that strong people a lot of times are very soft internally, and we forget about that. So on that note, before we go, Dr. Barnes, tell people how they can reach you virtually and how, just to touch on a few of the things that you work with primarily, and how people can work with you.
So my website is thebodyguard.com.au, or I also have christinebarnes.com.au. So you can go to my website, and I have an assistant online that can help guide you, answer any questions, things like that. You can also just email me directly. I like to keep a fairly open door policy. And if we just need to have a chat and answer a few things, and you may not want to get treatment with me, but I've got a lot of contacts. So, for me, it's about getting the right connection and making sure that, the connection is happy, pleasant, productive, and comfortable. So if there's some synergy there, that always helps with whatever we're treating. I think that 2021 is going to be a huge year for our clinic. I've actually engaged a patient liaison officer so she can help everybody navigate, appointments and all those sorts of things that sometimes I just don't get time to do. So we want to make sure that our people are cared for, not just in their treatment, but in their dealing with us. So I have a team behind me. It's not just me doing all these things. I have a great team. But 2021 is going to be, I think, a really interesting year. We're moving into more complexity of cases. Testing is becoming more and more available to define what's going on in people's health. So that's really helpful. And so I think we're going to be able to bring a new level of quality of treatment for people, because we can get very definitive with testing now. And that's going to help a lot of people that may have struggled and not knowing what's going on for them. And so I'm really excited about unraveling the puzzles that are going to present in 2021 with people's health situations. And I'm also expanding out on in the practitioner mentoring, and we're offering more services there. So a very busy 2021 for us. And of course I'm moving at the moment. So.
Of course, you had to add that to the mix. Well, at least you're moving at hopefully a time when you have some time. I also work virtually, just like Dr. Barnes does. So Dr. Barnes works all over the world with patients that are searching out holistic health and ways. If you haven't found traditionally how to fix something, she might have the answer for you. And I've worked with several naturopathic doctors over the last 10 years, and I really love the process of being able to drill down to the root cause. And that's a little bit of what we do in my clinic also. It's more geared towards habits and subconscious, and how we can bring things forward and bring them to light so that we can change our long-term lifestyle, so we can get rid of those things that overwhelm us and cause us to use food and have a relationship with food that doesn't work for us. So all of us are transitioning in this upcoming closing out 2020 and opening up 2021. And I agree with you. It's going to be a very big transitional year. If you're in that place where you need some help, reach out to both of us in one way or another, and we're here to help. All right. Well, I have to run off to my clinic. I know you do too. You're in yours. So happy holidays, Dr. Barnes. I look forward to more collaborations in the new year. And again, if you're watching this in the replay, tell us where you're from. Tell us, ask us questions. We'll come back and answer them for you. All right.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Have a good one.